Greetings my friends and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I am very excited to be talking to you about the magnificent new album from thrash metal gods that they are, Megadeth. The new album, The Sick, The Dying and The Dead. This album is without a doubt the best thing to come out of the band since at least Endgame, which was obviously very well received, but ignoring that, this is probably the best album to come out of the band since Countdown to Extinction. This is an absolutely stunning album. I really have absolutely fallen in love with this album. I've listened to it quite a number of times in anticipation of doing the review, and every time I listen to it, you pick up a little bit of something different. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot of different dynamics, and the songs themselves, not only are they really well written, really well produced, the album is actually produced by Dave Mustaine, but the songs themselves are so memorable. They've got a lot going on, a lot of different elements thrown in there. But let's start off with that epic opening track, The Sick, The Dying and The Dead, which actually, considering this is Megadeth, thrash metal legends, this is actually more of a heavy metal, a traditional heavy metal track. It's a heavy song, plenty of great riffs, plenty of variety. Actually, there's lots of different sort of musical elements thrown in there, but it's more of a traditional heavy metal song. But it's a really good song. It's certainly a worthy title track, and I mean the guitar work alone. This is Megadeth. You got Dave Mustaine. This is killer stuff. Very good track. That second song, Life in Hell, is an absolutely solid thrasher. Make no mistake, this is Megadeth, this is thrash metal legends, and they absolutely rip. Just deliciously crunchy riffs throughout. Really heavy number, but it's distinctively Megadeth. What else do we get here? We get Night Stalkers, which is probably the album highlight for me. That is an unrelenting thrasher. It's at least over 6 minutes long. It's quite a long number, but it's a fast and furious thrasher. It's very old school in its sound, very old school in its structure. Very strong vocal performance and delivery from Dave. I have to say he sounds on top form, which is very good to hear considering the fact that he's had a few, shall we say, unfortunate health incidences in the last couple of years. He's not been a well man, but actually he sounds top notch here. He sounds like Dave Mustaine. He sounds like a man that is just, he's giving it his all, and he's doing what he knows, doing what he loves. It's great. Night Stalkers, absolute ripping track, and as I say, it's definitely one of my album highlights for sure. So move on to Dogs of Chernobyl. Interesting name, good track, a slow building intro, builds up and just sort of, gets you ready for some thrashing riffs, which of course the track delivers. A long song again, it's over 6 minutes long. It's got that traditional heavy metal vibe again, but it's a good song. It's a good song. It's not my favourite track on the album. However, as I say, this is a very good album, and start to finish, you get strong track after strong track. So the fact that it might not be my favourite does not mean that it's not an absolute rager. And you've got that good balance between traditional heavy metal style and thrash, traditional Megadeth style. Really good song. You've got a lot of different elements thrown in there as well. You get some dazzling guitar work. It's definitely a thrash metal song, but you've got a lot of different elements and characteristics thrown in there as well. Sacrifice, you've got a bit of a sinister vibe there. There's a few different elements going on there. It's almost got like a bit of a black metal Venom flair at times. Maybe that's just my ears that picked that up. But yeah, it's got a few different things going on. It's an interesting track. It's a heavy track. It's just more good Megadeth. And I must say, the flow between songs is really good as well. It's not just a few good tracks and then a couple of fillers. The closest that you get to fillers is probably Sacrifice and the following track, Junkie. Again, Junkie is a good song, just like Sacrifice, but it's not an album highlight. It's a thrashing number. You know, you've got the riffs, you've got the thrashing speed metal riffs there. Fairly simple stuff, but it's Megadeth, and it's heavy, and it's crunchy, and it's really good, actually. Moving on to track like Killing Time, you've got, again, these traditional heavy metal flares thrown in there, plenty of chugging riffs, and it's certainly very Megadeth. My next album highlight would be Soldier On. Soldier On with an exclamation mark, in fact, and it is full of chugging riffs. It's a fantastic track. Really is. It's a big number, great guitar work, galloping thrash riffs, vocals from Dave are on top form. Really good, really good track, actually. It almost does remind me of Endgame era Megadeth. They're modern, but they're still relevant. They're still freaking chugging. They're still heavy. It's good stuff. And then the closing tracks we have here, and I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation, Celebutant. Not quite sure on how you pronounce that. That's an old school thrasher. It's got some killer riffs, some great guitar work. Mission to Mars is an absolute wild card. And I say a wild card, it is so different. It's a thrashing track, I should say, but with a significant twist. It's almost got like a punky, rocking angle to it. There's a lot of different bits and pieces thrown in there. But it's got excellent chorus there. It's really memorable. It's a good sing-along moment. It sounds really different. That's why I say it's a wild card. It's different. It's alternative. But instrumentals are fantastic. It's a little bit of a deviation, but it really works. Mission to Mars. It sounds odd for them. It really works. It really does work. It's a great track. The closing track, We'll Be Back, is an absolute thrasher. Start to finish, it's an old school Megadeth, blistering thrash attack, and it just sounds great. It's a huge sound, great riffs, absolutely killer. Start to finish, this album, The Sick, The Dying and The Dead, is full of great guitar work, great riffs, great solos. Elsewhere, you know, the rest of the band are really tight as well. You've got some great drumming, and I was interested to see, of course, after the fallout of Dave Ellefson last year leaving the band, I was very interested to hear how the bass sounded. Dave Ellefson, he had such a big, prominent sound, but the bass work has been redone by Steve DiGiorgio, very prominent name in the thrash metal world, and he does a very good job here. His bass is audible, it's prominent, we've got no Jason Newsted situation going on here. The whole band sounds very cohesive, and the songs really do reflect that. It's a killer album. As I say, this is definitely my favourite Megadeth album since Endgame, at least, because I really do love that album. I think that was one of the first sort of thrash albums of the modern era that I actually really got into. Of course, I was familiar with the earlier material, but in all honesty, I think this album might actually be better than Endgame. it certainly knocks spots off anything that their biggest, most notable rival has done in recent years. I don't think anything that Metallica have produced since And Justice for All could remotely compare with this album. This is an absolute monster of an album. If you like dystopia and the direction that the band were going in more recent years, then you are definitely going to love this. If you like thrash, if you like great guitar work, if you're not a thrash fan and you're more into, shall we say, power metal or traditional heavy metal, then don't be put off. This isn't a totally wild, all over the place, ear blistering release. It's got great thrashing riffs, but it's got a whole lot more going on. There's so much more diversity. And actually, this is just a solid album. Even if you didn't know anything about their heritage, about the other Megadeth albums, the earlier classic years, this is certainly a great standalone album. Megadeth, The Sick, The Dying and The Dead. If you haven't heard it, check it out. What do you think of this album? I'm very interested to know because I absolutely freaking love it. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Very grateful, as always. Check back soon, my friends, for more reviews and recommendations of all of the good, heavy stuff. You take care. Stay heavy.